What's going on, Comicbook.com? I'm Jim Viscardi, and we are here at Comic-Con in San Diego 2023, and I am joined by none other than the iconic, the legendary, Mr. Todd McFarlane. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks, Jim. Okay, before we get going, I know it's your interview. I don't want to hijack it right off the bat here. But I think that I should sort of, while past its time, I should tip my hat to you and your staff at Comicbook.com. What you guys do, and many others that sort of do what you do, provide this outlet that is much needed in the community, right? We saw how needed that was during the pandemic, of a constant flow of news and being able to basically adjust on the fly because, you know, the world was getting shut down, right? And now here we are at San Diego. We've got, you know, an event that spins around Hollywood a lot, and because of the strikes, you know, the writer strikes and the actor strike, it's going to be different. But still, groups like you and you yourself are still figuring out ways to then bring interesting and sort of relevant stuff out there, given that you've got less. I think it's a value. I think people don't really understand the value that people like you and your companies bring until there's sort of something goes wrong. And then they go, oh, but they're still there, right? And they're still bringing us interesting information. So anyway, I just want to.
No, it's fine. I'm just going to take that clip and put it in front of our next corporate sizzle reel and just make sure everyone knows all the nice things Todd just said about us. No, I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you. When you go to cons, you know, you've got a multifaceted kind of enterprise, let's say, going on, right? What kind of keeps you going? Like, what continues to bring the excitement? What you've got, your booth this year is pretty big. What makes you say, all right, here we go, we're going big, and here's why?
Because some of the other people went a little bit small, so I go, I'll take your space, right? Well, let's just look at it on a couple things that. I don't really do that many conventions, right? New York and San Diego really are sort of like that, and anything beyond that is a lot for me. I won't even be going to New York because my son's going to get married that weekend, right? So
it's a little bit more important.
I thought the convention was the first week, and I'm going, oh, cool, I get to do the convention and then marry my son because I'm officiating his wedding. So I go, cool. And then it was like somebody said, no, didn't you hear they moved it a week? And so I go, well, I guess I'm not going to New York Comic Con. The number one thing that I go to the conventions for now is media, right? And this is an example here, right? Because me talking to you is going to reach thousands, sometimes 10,000s, and big sort of interviews you do can reach into millions over time. You're not going to have that many people come to your booth. Right? I mean, again, sum total people come through the doors at San Diego is 100,000, and you're going to get a small percentage of that, right? So you're going to get, you know, a couple thousand people at any given time. Okay, that's a lot of expense to get a couple thousand times 4. That's 8,000 people. When you can stay at home, put something on your Instagram, and reach 500,000 people in a blink of an eye, right? So, but it's nice to get out in Glad Hand and meet people and do all those other things. What becomes way more important is just sort of pushing the brand up the hill, and this convention is one of them. What we're doing this sort of interesting thing with our booth. You mentioned the booth, that we designed the booth because what's frustrating is that you build these booths and then you have to throw like all the visuals and everything away, and it seems like a waste. First, it's going in the dump, which is a waste, and then it's like, well, that didn't last very long. But we're going to be taking the booth. We designed the booth. It's like this checkerboard sort of look, and we're going to, at the end of it, cut it up and then auction off all the pieces that we cut up to put out there and see how that works. There may be an efficient way to repurpose your booth.
Well, but also providing a unique kind of collectible, right? Like, you know, at the end of the day, right, you know all about the world of collectibles, and I think that's a thing that, you know, for fans who are big fans of yours is a
and here's the thing I think people that aren't quite as geeky, sometimes their mom and dad don't quite get it, whatever else, right? That somebody they go, why would somebody give you any money for that, right? It's like, what are you talking about? If I saw like my favorite actor and he was standing in a booth and then he says, hey, you know, this picture from my latest movie, I'm going to autograph it. Like, I'll take it, right? So it doesn't have to always be the obvious thing that you're giving away to people, right? That they're going to go, we got a piece of somebody's booth, or we got to, I mean, this is why people buy, you know, props from a movie, right? It's like you're not getting the autograph of the actor, you're not getting a picture of the actor or whatever, you're getting a prop the gun he held, right? Or she held, right? So you go, still cool because you got a piece of it. I don't know, we're going to see. We're going to see how it goes. We're going to do it with Whatnot for the first time. Never dealt with them. So I'm always sort of experimenting with things, and we'll see if this is anything that makes sense moving forward. But that's it. That's it. On top of everything else that we normally do in our day-to-day business. How do you add a wrinkle at any given time? Because the hardest thing, I mean, you're in the same business as me, is how do you stay relevant, right? I mean, it's nice when things are going good, and it's easy to sort of start believing your own press. But eventually the rainy day comes, and the graph will always tell you that there's basically this curve that sort of comes. So the question is, can you sort of flatten the curve so it goes for decades instead of it going really high and really far in a short period of time? You know, I've been at it for, I mean, I've been in comic books now. Next year will be 40 years, right? So people go, man, Todd, you're looking old. 'Cause I've been at it for 40 years. I am old
this
now.
This business ages you.
No, I'm just telling anybody who says that, I'll come back to you in 40 years. And it's like, no, it's called time. Yes, of course I'm getting old. It's been 40 years and 30 years just with Spawn.
Right. Well, so let me ask you about that. So just a few years ago now, you were celebrating issue 300.
Correct.
The book's still been coming out. What are you planning?
344. Just came 344.
You're almost halfway to 400.
Well, we got 350. We got a little bit of intermediate steps, so we'll do that.
Well,
but
sure. Okay. But like, are you like, is there a roadmap to 400?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. What's interesting to me on that is that I go, okay, so we get to 300, 301, and we get against world record.
Sure.
Right? Boom. That was a big time. But then now we've added 43, 44 more.
Right. Literally every issue after that is.
But I was talking to Eric Stevenson, the publisher at Image Comics. I said, hey, Eric, if I had just started the day after and I'd only done the 43 issues, forget that we did 300 that got us a world record.
Right.
Throw that out. Let's ignore the world record. If I had just done 43, which is where we're at currently,
right,
with Spawn, because we're up to 343, where would that rank in the numbers in the numbers in our 30 years of publishing Image comic books? And the answer we came up with off the top of our head, and Eric's really good, is, well, if you throw out sort of the founders, the partners, right? Because you've got, you know, Invincibles, Walking Dead, and you've got Darkness and Dragon and Spawn, right? I mean, but again, these are the partners. So we got the head start. So you push that all out. We could only come up with 2 in 30 years that had reached 50.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Okay.
And the 2 off the top of our head were Saga and Deadly Class. And just barely over 50, right? And so I'm going, wow. So just from 301 to now, I would already be like in the top, right? And to me, that's part of the blueprint / frustration a little bit, that it's like, I think part of the success is just attrition. Just keep coming out, because then people go, oh man, like Saga is at 50, but if Saga gets to 100, 150, then all of a sudden you're going to be 10 years into it, and you're going to have somebody who's 8, for the most part, is going, man, it seems like Saga's been in my life my whole life, because it's been there for 10, 11 years, right? Or if it's just popular for 8 issues and then you go away, right? That was just a short moment in time, and if you weren't into collecting at that time, or that wasn't your cup of tea, how does anybody know that book sort of even existed, right? And so I keep saying to some of the creators, I wish that there was a couple people that would just ride their horses a little bit longer before jumping off.
Makes sense.
But anyways, That's just me. And part of it, I wish we had 20 books that were over issue 100.
Right. I get it. All right. I got one more question to ask you before I let you go. You are talking about now Spawn the Toys. You did a Kickstarter.
Yeah,
Wild
during
success.
the pandemic.
Great looking. It was an awesome looking figure.
Yeah.
You won an award for it.
Yeah, and it set a record for
Set a
that
record.
category, for
Right.
a Kickstarter.
Right. You're doing it again.
Yeah, again, it was. I know we had such huge success after people said you shouldn't do it, and because it's like there's a pandemic, you shouldn't do anything. I thought it was a perfect time to do something.
Right.
When everybody's doing nothing, always do the counter to what everybody's doing. They're going to do nothing. I'm going to do something because I might be the only guy doing something. But what I didn't want to do once the success came was then try and milk it. Right? It's never been my MO. I've just I leave a lot of money on the table to just go, no, I'll take the money when I need it or when I'm thirsty, and we're not thirsty.
Sure.
So let the product come out. There was the advent of supply chain stuff, so it took a little bit longer. Let people come out, let people see it, let people enjoy it, and then at that point, then go, oh my gosh, we've seen the price are going up. Oh, will he do it again? And then wait even longer so that you build up the demand. This is the piece that just taking money because you can now is not necessarily, I don't think, the right answer, because you can maybe grab the $10 now, but if you wait, you may be able to get 30 another day. Right? And so for the first time since, 2020, we're coming out with our new one. I've got what we're going to be announcing here, so I'll show it to you.
Yes.
I don't know how good and this is minus a cape, minus new helmets, minus weapons, whatever. But what the original intent was to go back to that very first series of toys and then do the remastered version of it. Like if I was starting my toy company now and knew what I know now, this is what that first line should have looked like. And the first Spawn I thought looked pretty cool, the Kickstarter.
Yeah, it was great.
I think this one's cooler. Now again, I'm biased. I don't even know if your camera's gonna be able to pick up the detail.
I mean, that is just
you can get some B-roll of that, but it's gorgeous. Just like, even for fantasy people who just like fantasy and go, I don't even know what spam, prawn, spawn, whatever it is like, that guy just looks cool on my shelf here, right? But the detail that's in goes back to what we did earlier in the McFarlane Toys mythos of making stuff. But if you do it right, as you can sort of see even on the back,
I mean, it's
like even if you just mold it silver and just go, I'm not going to do anything other than put a wash on it. If you sculpt it right, it just looks good.
The
right?
paint deco on this is
and again, it feels like it's lead, right? So there's a big high value there. So I don't know. I think by the time I show people all the cool stuff, this thing should match or maybe even succeed the previous one, which was a record for Kickstarter.
Right.
We'll see.
So then how long do I have to wait for you to remaster the Violator?
So I'm always guilty. Again, I'm not a public company, so I don't have to maximize profits every 90 days. I'm always guilty of going, hey, they were very generous giving me this money. I'm gonna back off a little bit, right? I don't want to be that person that seems like it's like, oh, you're gonna support me, so I'm gonna take advantage of you. I want to do the opposite. Right now, Spawn the comic book $2.99 is the only. I mean, I got 4 of them. Are the only $2.99 comic books in the entire industry, right? Why? Because if you give me a little bit more money, I'm okay. My kids have already gone through college, and my wife are living a good life. We don't need a little bit more, right? We're okay. But for you, that's an extra $1. Well, now $4. I don't know. Again, it's only $1, and I've had this conversation with retailers. They're like, Todd, come on, I can make a few extra bucks. But my theory is in building brands. Yeah. All things being equal. So I'll pull an example. You've got Spawn, someone comes in, they go, I think it's a 5 out of 10. I'm thinking of adding some more comic books. It's a 5 out of 10. And then I've got Green Lantern. He's okay. I think he's a 5 out of 10. All things being equal. They're going to go, what? That one, the Green Lantern is $3.99, $4.99, and Spawn's $2.99? Shit, I'll take the $2.99, right? I mean, I get 20 pages either way, and I think they're both 5 out of 10s. I'll price at some point, I believe, matters. And oh, by the way, my Spawn books, I'd like to think it's because, we have all the best ideas, but it's not true. We're still in the top 10 on a lot of the books every month, and part of it, I think, is because not only their attrition and time, it's $2.99, right? And people go, It's not very good, but I can buy $2.99 stuff, right? I don't even care how you get there. And then you're still relevant 30 years later.
Right.
And that's the steep hill. Not coming out 20, 30 years ago and having a book that sells a lot, but now 30 years later still being in the game on any level, right? 300 put us in the game. You know, we'll do 350, we'll get another pop. I expanded my comic books, we'll get another pop. Someday the movie will come out, we'll get another big pop. Like, so there'll just be these things that 30, 40 years later, that character still matters. And it's been in people's life for their entire
Very
life
long
if
time.
you're 40 or 50. So it's been working. I'm probably not going to deviate from the game plan at this point. So,
I love it.
yeah.
Todd, it's always a pleasure. I appreciate you coming by. For more on Comic-Con 2023, keep it locked into Comicbook.com.